Welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal channel. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. Arsenal have finished preparing their first initial offer for Rodrygo. It is 80 million euros. Now, sources close to Madrid are saying that this will be rejected, but Arsenal want to test the waters with this initial bid. Arsenal saying 80 million euros for the signing of Rodrygo. Liverpool are there. Couple of other clubs are there. Madrid think this strategy of bidding clubs against each other could actually push Arsenal to pay more, or Liverpool to pay more, or anyone to actually pay more. They want 100 million euros, and Arsenal are preparing 80 million euros in terms of a bid. Can we get him at 80 million euros? Is it a little bit low? Is it a little bit too small for the services of Rodrygo? We're going to be discussing that. But hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. I've never asked you this, and this is very, very selfish of me because we run this podcast together. We run this channel together as well. You are family, and I am your presenter. So, how much is Rodrygo really worth, guys? I mean, let's talk about it. Let's be honest about it. How much is this Brazilian really worth? Because I understand he's really developed a lot ever since he came into Europe with Real Madrid from Brazil, scoring goals in the Champions League, scoring clutch goals for them in the La Liga. He's won titles. He has the Champions League. He has the La Liga as well. I think he's got that Spanish FA, if I'm not mistaken. So he's a well-decorated player that has got a lot of abilities, and he's a player that you can trust in many, many situations. I bet he turns this Arsenal team around. I bet he raises the level of this Arsenal team, just like Alexis Sanchez. I think there's a question there. Are we bestowing a lot of responsibilities on a player that we even don't know whether it's going to work out? I mean, he has to come to the Premier League, first work out, adapt to the league, adapt to the intensity of football there, and then he can start becoming our Alexis Sanchez. But what is the real value of this guy? How much should Arsenal really bleed into the pockets of Real Madrid for the services of Rodrygo? Gosh. Okay, so let's get into it. This has been reported by Court of Sign via Marcus Barras, and they're saying that sources connected to Madrid and the industry have informed Cossy that Rodrygo looks increasingly likely to leave Real Madrid this summer. That's okay. Interested clubs are unlikely to go anywhere near the 100 million euros asking price that Madrid have set, but Arsenal could test waters with 80 million euros. Now, Matt Brass says that he understands, according to his information, he understands that Arsenal are preparing to test the waters with 80 million euros for Rodrygo. It is likely to be rejected because Real want 100 million euros. Liverpool and others still there, very much interested. Rodrygo exit considered increasingly very, very, very likely. Okay, so Arsenal are willing to make a bid, ready to make a bid for Rodrygo. Liverpool and other clubs are there. And Madrid is saying, if you dare send in a bid less than 100 million euros, we are going to reject it, work on your finances, and then come to us with 100 million euros. But is he worth 100 million euros? Is this a player that we should pay 100 million euros for? Well, let's discuss. Now, the first thing I want to say when it comes to the Arsenal bid, I think we have made progress on the player side, guys. I think we have made progress on the player side. I told you here 2-3 days ago that the player was giving bigger consideration to staying in Europe, and a very good portion of that consideration was to move to Arsenal if Arsenal are ready to give him the demands he actually put on the table, which are, he wants a very big wage, which is 300,000 guaranteed. So he doesn't want 300,000 before taxes. He wants 300,000 guaranteed after taxes. That is net, right? So we'll be talking about that, and that means Arsenal have to pay him, closer to 450,000 per week. Should Arsenal do that? It's a complicated deal, but like Sammy McBoy said, Arsenal have got to be creative. So the first thing is with the wages, and then the second thing is if Arsenal can agree a deal for him to Real Madrid. He's a player that loves Madrid. He's a player that respects Real Madrid. He's not going to push for a move. He's not going to do the Victor Gyökeres antics. He's not going to do these antics of sending in a transfer request and all that. But I want to take you back to what we know for sure about this deal. What we know is that a meeting between Alonso, Rodrygo, and Madrid has probably happened. And Madrid, their final decision, we are gonna sell Rodrygo if the right offer arrives, and they have set their price at 77 million pounds, which is which is if you turn the currency to euros, it's rising to 100 million euros, right? So the stance of Madrid is we shall sell if the right offer arrives. That already has communicated signals into the head of Rodrygo. You're no longer appreciated here. You're no longer wanted here. You can as well move on. That's number one. Number two, right? Number two, for Arsenal to be preparing a bid for a player like Rodrygo, who's he holds the power. That's what Fabrizio is saying. He holds the power. He holds the keys to this deal. If he says I'm staying, period, he stays. If he says I'm gonna go, period, then Madrid can start accepting offers and working on a deal to take him away from the Santiago Bernabeu. So it means Arsenal have really made some progress on the player side. We are convinced that we can give him the game time that he's asking for in a position that is actually desperate for. That's number one. Number two, we are also convinced that the player would love to join us if we make a very good effort. But my question now comes on to the wages, right? Before we get into the bid and the value, let's first talk about wages. Are Arsenal seriously, like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I'm saying, are Arsenal seriously writing their name out there among the ambitious projects that can pay a player 300,000 net? Because the likes of Saka, I presume, will be earning 300k maybe, but before taxes, right? After taxes, maybe 230, 240k. But of course, 300k, that will be bled from the accounts of the team. The same as the likes of Declan Rice, they should be earning that very soon. Kai Havertz is on 280k. And I think a couple of players, I think Saliba might actually as well be up there on the 250ks, right? So are Arsenal really serious about giving Rodrygo 300k net, which is like 450k, with taxes? Are we really gonna do that? I don't know, but it seems so, because if you are moving to make a bid, then you have a certain degree of consensus, right, on player side. Now, it's two-way. You could understand this in two-way. Maybe we could say Rodrygo's wages are too much. He ain't worth those wages. I mean, we have seen players like Marcus Rashford. They're earning ridiculous amounts of wages. I think 270k or 370k, anywhere around there. And, now Manchester United want to sell him. They want to offload him. And everybody's saying, but the wages, we can't afford the wages. And Rashford is like, my contract's still running. I am not taking anything less than the wages I'm currently on. So should Arsenal take this very huge money, 80 million euros and above for the player, and very huge wages, is it worth them? I think I'm very, very skeptical about the wages thing. I'm very, very skeptical about Rodrygo earning 300k net. Like, this is not Mesut Ozil. This is not Angel Di Maria. I think the three players I would give 300k net at Madrid if we signed them would be Vinicius Jr., without a bloody doubt. I would give him 300k net. Kylian Mbappe, I would give him more than that. I would pay him more than that, right? Kylian Mbappe. The other player I would give 300k net. Like, he comes in and he's worth 300k wages per week at Madrid. Because for 300k, you're coming to win the league and not one edition. You make us win maybe 3 titles, like in 5 years, the Champions League, and even more. And of course, more to that, he's gonna cost more than 80 million euros. So I am skeptical about the value of this guy. I think he's a little bit overhyped. I like him. Tremendous signing, different levels, but it's a little bit overhyped. A little bit. For 300k per week, Maybe this is he's trying to just, benefit the most out of a deal away from Madrid. He's like, if I'm not playing for the club that I really love, I might as well go and play for the money. Maybe, right? But Arsenal are also offering him freedom. We are also offering him that, autonomy. We are offering him the superstar status in a club like Arsenal. I am skeptical about the wages. But now let's talk about the bid. The good thing about the bid is that it shows you that Arsenal have made some progress on the player side. Because, Marcus Brass says that Arsenal are ready to make an initial opening bid for 80 million euros for Real Madrid star Rodrygo. So that tells you that there is positivity, there is hope. How much is it really worth? In my opinion, 80 million euros. And when Marcus Brass says that likely to be rejected, I'm like, why don't Arsenal walk in with an initial 70 million euros? Like, total package, 70 million euros. It would look stupid. It would look cheap. And it might anger Madrid a little bit. But why do we care? We've got time. We've got 12 days in July before the month ends. And we've got a bloody 30 days in August. We have got time. Why don't we start smaller than 80 million euros? Because the problem with starting with 80 million euros is definitely Madrid going to be like, oh, there is good money here. Give us more. Give us more. Give us more. Bit of like what Sporting did and bit of like what Chelsea did, right? Arsenal went in with their offer, an offer they thought is really sufficient for Madueke, and it was sufficient for Madueke. And what happened is Chelsea were like, you guys have money. You are bidding like 50 million for Madueke. 45 million for Madueke. We want 50. We want anything that resembles 50 million pounds. And Arsenal ended up paying 50 million pounds for Noni Madueke. Not a bad signing. I'm just saying that we could have started a little bit lower. So when it comes to this one, I think Arsenal are not desperate. We are not desperate. We've signed Noni Madueke, right and left winger. We've signed a couple of other players that can also give you that kind of depth in those areas. Gyökeres can also play as a central figure, which means Kai Havertz can drift right and left as well. Why don't we just go like 70 million euros and then increase that, and then the final offer is like 85 million euros? Because for me, I think Rodrygo is worth 85 million euros. I don't know if I'm wrong or right, but I think he's worth 80 million euros. That's it. He's worth 80 million to 85 million euros. That is the maximum. Now, if Arsenal paid 90 million euros, I wouldn't come on the podcast and say, wow, this is a bad signing. This is a bad deal. No way. It's a very good deal. Even at 150 million euros, I would still back Rodrygo. But I want us to be realistic. I don't want us to be like the Manchester United fans who have paid 70 million pounds, which is like closer, by the way, to 100 million euros. Actually, closer to 90 million euros, I'm sorry, for Brian Bomo. And they're like, yo, go shorty. It's my birthday. It is not your birthday. It is 70 million pounds for Brian Bomo. Arsenal wanted to pay less than 50 million for that guy. And I think if you had given priority to Arsenal, I think we pay less than 50 million pounds or less than 60. Because everyone is looking at Manchester United as vulnerable. Everyone is looking at Manchester United as a club that nobody wants. So they're going to ask for a lot of money. I don't think Arsenal are desperate. And I think for me, 85 million euros, that is 70 million euros and above, 70 million pounds, and a few coins on top, that actually does you the Rodrygo deal. But I'm happy Arsenal are active, because this is the deal that really feels like a lie. You know, when you're young, you know what this deal feels like? When you're young and your mother or your father says, get your slippers, let's go. And then they vanish, right? This deal has got a bit of that. This deal has got a bit of that. Where you're like, aren't they really lying? And maybe they are, maybe they are not. I don't know, right? But it's got a bit of that. It's really, it's got a bit of that. And for Arsenal to be working on it right now, I'm impressed. Because we are not under any pressure. We've got to work on outgoings. We've got to work on on some new contracts as well. So if Andre Bata is really working on this, and for me, this is the final piece to the puzzle. It's the final piece. Like the way you just build brick by brick, brick by brick, brick by brick, and then timber on the house, and then a couple of iron sheets, and then doors and everything, right? So this is the furnishing, the furnishing in the apartment. Like, you might have an apartment that looks like garbage. The moment you furnish it, everybody wants to be in there. I think the Rodrygo deal is done to this Arsenal team. But let me know what you think about it. 80 million euros. These guys want 100 million euros. Well, let's see. Let's see if we can do the deal.